By now, we've almost likely heard the biggest news in the celebrity gossip world, and no, Taylor Swift didn't get married yet, but what I can tell you is that pop superstar Katy Perry and former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau are dating. Crazy as it sounds, it seems to be true. In July 2025, they were spotted together eating lobster in Montreal, and then 2 nights later, Justin Trudeau attended Katy Perry's concert and sang along to Firework. I guess they were both feeling like plastic bags after their recent divorces. But their choice to start again with each other was a bit unexpected, and the celebrity gossip machine went wild. As Cosmopolitan put it, every year, the world gifts us at least one extremely confusing and unexpected celebrity relationship. And this year, that honor goes to Katy Space Perry and former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Last July, it was still unclear if they were really dating or not, so the internet flipped back and forth for a bit, and then exploded in excitement in October when they were caught on camera kissing on a yacht. The headlines at the time suggested that Justin Trudeau had reached full-on midlife crisis mode, and that the two of them could bond about having peaked in the mid-2010s. So I know you didn't ask for it, but here's my take. While Katy and Justin might be having fun with their yachts and their lobsters for now, I've analyzed the evidence, and I know for a fact that their relationship will never work out. And you should trust me on this because I've got the eye of a tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. Okay, anyway, I know you don't want to hear me roar, so let's get on with it. In today's episode, we're talking about the real reason that Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau will never work out. And I'd bet you never guess that it starts with this dress. Hi friends, I'm Sarah Plavnik, a researcher who has spent 8 years studying Taiwan's media and culture, and this is Taiwan Salad, a space where I answer all of the questions about Taiwan that you were too afraid to ask, such as, does Justin Trudeau make Katy Perry feel like she's living a teenage dream? Press subscribe if you haven't, and let's get started. Part 1, the sunflower dress. So here's my theory for why Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau will never work out. And it all starts in Taiwan in 2015. So from now on, we're just going to call it the Taiwan theory. The earliest traces of evidence for the Taiwan theory date back to April 2015, when Katy Perry performed a show at the Taipei arena for thousands of fans in a show that sold out in mere minutes. During this show, she came on stage wearing a sparkly dress covered in sunflowers, and then right before performing one of her hit songs, Unconditionally, she draped the Republic of China flag over her shoulders. So Republic of China is Taiwan's official name, and if you find this confusing, you can actually check out this video I made about why Taiwan's names are so confusing. Okay, so here's Katy Perry on stage, dressed in sunflowers, wearing the ROC flag as a cape, and this makes the crowd go absolutely wild. Honestly, when I'm rewatching the videos now, it kind of seems like even Katy Perry herself is taken aback by the level of enthusiasm she's getting from this crowd. So she's on stage and the crowd's going wild, and then she says to her fans,
I like you. And I've never even met you, and I'm already really into you. But I'm definitely going to come back to you.
Now, Katy Perry had actually worn this same sunflower dress in previous stops of this tour, but I'm guessing that the dress was not met with the same level of enthusiasm in, for example, Shanghai as it was in Taiwan. This is because sunflowers hold a very specific political meaning in Taiwan. They're actually associated with the Sunflower Student Movement from March 2014. This was a massive pro-democracy protest in which hundreds of student activists occupied Taiwan's parliament for 24 days in order to oppose a trade pact with China that they felt was being pushed through without proper review. And when I say occupied, I mean they literally moved into the parliament building for 24 days. During the occupation, hundreds of thousands of peaceful protesters outside of the parliament building brought sunflowers, and the flower came to represent the fight for Taiwan's continued democratic autonomy. In the end, this controversial trade deal was shelved, and the movement galvanized a new generation of youth activism in Taiwan. So just 1 year after this movement, Katy Perry appeared on stage in Taipei wearing a sunflower dress and wrapped in the ROC flag. And when I see pictures of her wearing this outfit, it just screams at me that she is making a super strong pro-Taiwan statement. And this is also how it was interpreted by people in Taiwan at the time. Someone on the Taiwan platform PTT called Katy Perry super fierce, and people on Twitter were entertained that the whole ordeal happened seemingly by accident. There was one post that said, "I am laugh-crying at Taiwan anti-China dissidents that are moved to tears because Katy Perry's stylist accidentally committed her to their cause." Beijing, however, was not amused. Pictures of Katy Perry performing in the sunflower dress in Taipei were censored on the Chinese internet, though it seems that Katy herself did not feel the repercussions until a few years later. This brings us to 2017, when Katy Perry was slated to perform at the lavish Victoria's Secret fashion show in Shanghai, but her visa was denied. While there was no official statement as to why, it was widely speculated that this decision was linked back to the 2015 Taipei sunflower dress. And just as a quick side note, supermodel Gigi Hadid actually also had her visa denied for this same fashion show after she posted a racist video on social media where she was holding up a Buddha-shaped cookie and squinting her eyes. Not a good look. It turns out that there are multiple ways to offend the Chinese authorities, and being racist or stoking geopolitical controversy are two surefire ways to do so. And I've discussed before that it's actually pretty common for celebrities to get caught in the Taiwan-China geopolitical crossfire, especially when they're trying to maintain good relations with Taiwan and also access China's massive market. So Katy Perry is in good company with her sunflower dress controversy, which shut her out of China for years. It's only in 2025, 10 years later, that she was finally able to perform again in China. So by now we've covered where Katy Perry stood on the Taiwan-China issue in the mid-2010s, which, believe it or not, brings us one step closer to understanding the Taiwan theory. Because when we take a look at what Justin Trudeau was up to around this time, it provides some solid evidence for why Katy and Justin will never work out. Part 2, deep in the soy sauce. Okay, brace yourselves because you're never gonna believe what Justin Trudeau was up to in 2016.
Justin Trudeau is a huge fan of Chinese, eh? All it takes is $1,525 to lobby the Prime Minister. On May 19th, Trudeau attended a fundraiser at the Toronto home of business exec Benson Wong.
Honestly, I have no words, but I guess I'll try anyway. Right, so this animation was released in 2016 in Taiwan in collaboration with the now defunct Tomo News. The context for this animation was controversy about Justin Trudeau's Cash for Access fundraisers, where he would be the guest of honor in the homes of wealthy Chinese-Canadian business people, and then guests would pay up to $1,500 a person for the chance to do things like make dumplings with the Prime Minister. One such event in May 2016 had a Chinese billionaire in attendance who later made generous donations both to Justin Trudeau's father's foundation and to the University of Montreal. And some estimates say the amount was hundreds of thousands, but others say it was $1 million. Recently appointed as Prime Minister, fresh-faced Justin Trudeau seemed to think that Canada could benefit from closer economic ties with China. In addition to the Cash for Access fundraisers, Justin Trudeau also visited Beijing in September 2016, and he discussed, among other things, an extradition agreement that was highly criticized in Canada. And then he also hosted Chinese Premier Li Keqiang in Ottawa. While his reputation in Canada may have suffered from all of this, he gained many fans in China who, like Katy Perry, thought he was pretty without any makeup on.
不是大家都说那个总理很帅吗？
看过，很帅，很帅。
In 2016, Taiwanese voters elected President Tsai Ing-wen, the island's first female leader and someone from the traditionally China-skeptical Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP. Cross-strait relations were tense, and so on the global stage, lines were being drawn more starkly between those supporting Taipei and those supporting Beijing. Justin Trudeau clearly planted himself in the pro-China camp, which meant that in Taiwan, he was memorialized with this forever relevant, frequently reposted video animation, Gold. So to summarize, in the mid-2010s, Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau were both at their peak, and Katy Perry was wearing her sunflower dress, and it inadvertently openly supporting Taiwan's grassroots democracy activists. And then on the other hand, we had an animated Justin Trudeau literally sucking up to Beijing. They came out on complete opposite sides of the Taiwan-China divide. Okay, so I realize at this point that you might be thinking that this was all 10 years ago. Why would it affect their relationship now? But you have to understand something, which is that Justin Trudeau's allegiance to Beijing runs deep. So deep that it's in his DNA. And even if right now Katy and Justin are just having fun, we know that their relationship is being built across a deep, deep chasm. Chasm? A chasm that is impossible to bridge. Part 3. Small potato and old potato. If you come away with just one thing from this video, it should be this. In China, the word for potato is tudou, which sounds pretty similar to Trudeau, right? And so in China, Justin Trudeau earned himself the nickname Xiao Tudou, which means small potato. And then his father, Pierre Trudeau, earned himself the nickname Lao Tudou, which means old potato. Got it? And just as a side note, the word tudou in Taiwanese Mandarin actually means peanut, not potato. But I don't want to get into that right now. So there's Xiao Tudou, and then there's Lao Tudou. And in 2016, when small potato Justin Trudeau aligned himself with Beijing, he was actually following in the footsteps of his father, Old Potato. Another quick side note is that supporting Beijing is apparently not the only thing that runs in the potato family. Old Potato Pierre Trudeau was also known for dating celebrities and at one point was dating Barbra Streisand. But Barbra Streisand never went to space, so extra points for small potato, I guess? Aside from dating celebrities, Pierre Trudeau was also Canada's prime minister from 1968 through 1984, and he was one of the Western world's earliest advocates for engaging with communist China, even if this meant taking measures as drastic as getting Taiwan kicked out of the Olympics, which is exactly what he did in 1976. The context was that Canada under Lao Tudou was one of the earliest countries to establish diplomatic relations with the PRC in October 1970. This was almost 9 years before the United States switched its allegiances from Taiwan to the People's Republic. At this time, Taiwan and China were still locked in a post-Civil War/Cold War stalemate. The nationalist KMT government in Taiwan claimed that they were the rightful rulers of all of Taiwan as well as all of mainland China, even though they had retreated from the mainland at the end of the Chinese Civil War. At the same time, the communist government was claiming that the People's Republic of China was the rightful ruler of all of China, which in their minds included Taiwan. Going into the 1970s, most countries recognized the Republic of China, meaning the KMT-ruled nationalist China, as the real China. But by the end of the 1970s, most countries had switched over to recognize the PRC. Canada was an early adopter. In 1970, Old Potato Pierre Trudeau recognized that the PRC was already in control of mainland China, and it didn't make diplomatic sense to pretend otherwise. As a liberal internationalist who sympathized with China's communist revolution, Pierre Trudeau also believed, according to political scientist Paul Evans, that China was too big and too important to be isolated from the rest of the world. Besides, if Canada acted early, it could gain new trade opportunities. The only issue was that the PRC under Mao required that Canada acknowledge its claims over Taiwan, and Canada didn't want to do that. To get around this, Pierre Trudeau came up with a diplomatic strategy that came to be known as the Canadian Formula, by using this very specific language. The Chinese government reaffirms that Taiwan is an inalienable part of the territory of the PRC. The Canadian government takes note of the Chinese position. It's almost like Old Potato and Mao Zedong got into an argument, and then Old Potato was like, okay, you're saying that Taiwan is part of the PRC, I'm gonna note that down. And then Mao was like, okay, sounds great. Seems unlikely to work, but I guess it did. Maybe Katy and Justin should try this strategy when they inevitably get into arguments about their opposing views on Taiwan. So what happened next was that a bunch of other countries copied this Canadian formula and switched their diplomatic relations from the Republic of China to the People's Republic of China. Then, in 1971, the PRC was admitted to the United Nations and Taiwan was kicked out. And it keeps going. Apparently getting Taiwan kicked out of the UN wasn't enough enough for Old Potato. He also went after Taiwan's participation in the Olympics. So in 1976, Canada hosted the Summer Olympics in Montreal. Taiwan had previously competed in the Olympics using the name Republic of China, but now Canada recognized the PRC as the real China, and the PRC didn't want Taiwan to use the name China in any way, shape, or form. Trudeau famously said at the time, "We love the Taiwanese, we just don't call them Chinese," which weirdly enough is the exact opposite of what the PRC would want today. So then at this 1976 Olympics, Taiwan refused to be bullied into abandoning its ROC name, and they decided to boycott the Olympics entirely, even though some of its athletes were already in Montreal. Trudeau's move then caused an uproar. The United States and other countries were furious that the Olympics had become so political, accusing Canada of overstepping what they thought should have been a decision by the International Olympic Committee. This naming decision also had lasting ramifications for Taiwan. By 1984, the IOC had developed an awkward compromise in which they allowed Taiwan to return to the Olympics, but only if they used the made-up name Chinese Taipei, which came in a package with a made-up flag and a made-up anthem. And the crazy thing is that even today, Taiwanese athletes compete in the Olympics under the name Chinese Taipei. A lot of people in Taiwan dislike this made-up name, but they're also worried that if they vote to change it, it could cause backlash from the PRC.
What do you think about the name Chinese Taipei?
Maybe a little disappointed. Yeah.
不喜欢这个称呼，我觉得蛮奇怪的。
觉得没办法让更多人认识我们。
It's a fiction. There's nothing. There's no place called Chinese Taipei.
是被迫 ，we are forced 来叫台湾Chinese Taipei。我们多么希望是用我们正式的国名。
But back to our friend Old Potato. The main point here is that supporting Beijing over Taipei runs deep in the Trudeau family lineage, which is why it's not surprising that decades later, Small Potato Justin Trudeau aligned himself with Beijing over Taipei. It was deep in his political DNA. But then, in 2018, something shifted, and all of a sudden, Small Potato Justin Trudeau began to show more support for Taiwan. Could this be the moment when the stars above Katy and Justin finally align? Who knows? Part 4, the two Michaels. This potato is freezing. My hands are freezing right now. But yeah, now my hands are so cold. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have Old Potato, Pierre Trudeau, and then we have Small Potato, Justin Trudeau. And then we also now have Katy Perry in her spacesuit on an apple. Katy Perry, by the way, is known in China as Fruit Sister or 水果姐 because of her tendency to wear fruit-themed costumes. Okay, let's review. Back in 2015, Katy Perry wore her sunflower dress in Taipei, and this then led to her visa in China being denied, which meant that she came out clearly in support of Taiwan in the Taiwan-China geopolitical divide. And at the same time, Justin Trudeau was still in his peak, following in his father's legacy, sucking up to Beijing and charging Chinese Canadians $1,500 to make dumplings with him. Then in 2018, everything changed, and Katy and Justin almost aligned. But it turns out that the Taiwan theory doesn't end there, because what happened is that Katy and Justin passed right by each other. It just wasn't meant to be. And the crazy thing is, maybe Katy and Justin could have matched up if it weren't for the two Michaels. What happened was that in December 2018, the Chinese authorities arrested 2 Canadian citizens in China, both of whom happened to be named Michael, on nebulous charges of espionage. The reason for their arrest was clearly retaliation. On December 1st, Canadian authorities, acting on a US extradition request, had arrested the Huawei heir named Meng Wanzhou in Canada. Meng was a top executive of the Chinese tech giant Huawei, and coincidentally, the daughter of Huawei's founder. This hostage diplomacy situation went on for 3 whole years until the two Michaels and Meng were eventually released in September 2021. In the meantime, Canada-China relations deteriorated. Trade disputes erupted, with China blocking Canadian exports of canola and pork, and Canada joined international sanctions of Chinese officials who were suspected of persecuting the Uyghur ethnic minority in Xinjiang, something that they had previously chosen to overlook. By May 2022, small potato Justin Trudeau finally decided to go through with banning Huawei equipment from Canada's 5G network, citing national security concerns. And then, in November 2022, all of this came to a head at a G20 summit in Bali when Xi Jinping rebuked small potato on camera for supposedly leaking their private conversation to the press.
Everything we discuss is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate.
而且我们也不是那样进行的。
And that's not how the way the conversation was
如
conducted.
果有诚心，咱们就用一种互相尊重的态度来进行很好的沟通。
If there is
否则这个结果就不好说了。
if there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to
也可以
continue.
建设。
The leaked conversation had been about Trudeau's concerns of Chinese interference in Canada's 2019 elections. But the incident gained attention in the media because it was a rare moment when Xi Jinping was speaking on camera and off script, and for how taken aback Justin Trudeau seemed to be. He just kind of wandered off afterwards, seemingly having no idea where he was going. Meanwhile, as Canada's relations with Beijing deteriorated, its relations with Taiwan have never been stronger. In 2021, Canada and the United States conducted their first joint naval transit through the Taiwan Strait. And then in 2022, Canada's new Indo-Pacific strategy directly stated that Canada would oppose unilateral actions that threaten the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. By 2023, Canada had released a special report titled Canada and Taiwan, A Strong Relationship in Turbulent Times. And Canada subsequently carried out many of the recommendations in the report, which led to a dramatic increase in trade as well as cooperation in areas like supply chain and technology. Taiwanese representative to Canada Harry Tseng said that the report was the most significant development in Taiwan-Canada relations since the two nations severed ties in 1970. What all of this means is that small potato Justin Trudeau made a complete 180 in his support for Taiwan, bringing Taiwan-Canada relations back to the point where they echo their formal pre-1970s ties, before Daddy Old Potato switched Canada's allegiances to the other side. And this happened even while support for China was supposedly in Small Potato's political DNA. Small Potato has definitely changed. So I guess we're stuck with some GMO potatoes. Fruit sister Katy Perry, in the meantime, seems to have forgotten her love of Taiwanese grassroots democracy, and the Chinese government seems to have forgotten as well, since she performed in China 3 times in November 2025. No visa issues to be heard of, and so far, no scheduled tour dates in Taiwan. So by now you have all of the information that you need to understand the Taiwan theory. So here's the real reason why Katy and Justin will never work out. If Katy and Justin can't even agree on something as fundamental as their support or lack of support for Taiwan, it's really just not meant to be. Maybe they're having fun for now with their yachts and their lobsters, but there's no way it will last. They've been on opposite sides of the cross-strait divide for their whole lives. Katy was hot and then cold for Taiwan, and Justin changed his mind about Taiwan like a girl changes clothes. And no relationship can survive that kind of drama. In the meantime, we've learned that it's a mistake to think that you can solve any major problems just with potatoes. We've also gotten a story about a different type of drama, political drama, and how both celebrities and public figures navigate the cross-strait divide. In the mid-2010s, Justin Trudeau found himself deep in the soy sauce, and Katy Perry inadvertently found herself deep in the sunflower movement. And then we have old potato Pierre Trudeau, who left a legacy of getting Taiwan stuck with a made-up country name that they have to use in the Olympics even today. Actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences are unexpected and long-lasting. In any case, I hope that Katy and Justin are enjoying themselves for now, because it's only a matter of time before their opposing views on Taiwan sends their relationship down the drain. Alright, that's all for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I also want to mention that this is a brand new channel, so I just want to ask you to do whatever you can to help me get it up and running. So that's the typical like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment to let me know what you think. Also maybe share the video with a friend who you think might like it. And if you like this video, I think you might also really like this other video that I made about how Taiwanese celebrities navigate Taiwan identity issues. So in that video, I talk about how people like like Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, as well as John Cena and Michelle Yeoh navigate the Taiwan-China geopolitical issues, and a lot of times not very well. And then coming up, once I manage to edit another video, there's gonna be all sorts of fun content and deep dives from my trip to Taiwan. So please stay tuned and I'll see you next time. Bye, Katy Space Perry. Bye, Xiao Trudeau. Bye, Lao Trudeau. Bye.